Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like.
Welcome back to the Stuck in My Thoughts podcast. It's the place you want to be to hear one-of-a-kind POV. As always, I'm your host, Justin Stuckey. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another solo segment. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. We sit down with our amazing guests, but I also got to sit down just solo. Me and you guys discussing some of the things in sports, entertainment, media, all over the place. And in our last episode, we finished off with WWE. If you know me, if you don't know me, huge WWE fan through and through. And so that's where we're going to start in this episode, kicking things off with the road to WrestleMania is quickly approaching. We're making our way to Vegas, and it's heating up right now. The suspense is brewing, starting out with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, the promo. That was amazing. I think we're getting back to the old way of wrestling where anything is on the table. You could throw shots. It doesn't matter. You have Roman telling CM Punk, well, look, we brought you back for a certain reason. We approved you being back. It wasn't to be champion. It was just to sell a few tickets, especially in your hometown of Chicago. It was just to bring a little edge back, maybe a mid-card talent, but you weren't supposed to come back and be the guy. Shots fired, but we got the old CM Punk back. We got the CM Punk that I grew up watching. The pipe bomb, CM Punk. The mic drop, CM Punk. In this promo against Roman Reigns, he tells him he's going to bury him. And this time he won't be alone. He won't be by himself anymore. You know, Roman runs pretty much by himself. He says he's going to bury him. And this time he won't be alone because he's going to bury him next to his father. CM Punk took a page out of Christian book because there's no way. I would love to see if this is going to be an Unreal, because I want to know, did Roman Reigns approve this? A lot of times in the world of wrestling, sports, entertainment, you don't know what's a work. If you aren't familiar with what a work is, you don't know what's fake and you don't know what's real. I think that's the mystery. I think that's what makes wrestling. But in this case, I would love to know if Roman approved that or did CM Punk go off the rails? Because he's been known to go off the rails. But as a consumer of the product, as somebody who loves the business, this really kept me engaged. I know they're pushing it heavy on social media, but that's one of those things you're like, oh, he really went there. You don't know, in Roman Reigns' real life, his father did pass away. And so it is actually crazy that they brought that in a promo segment. But that's what makes wrestling. Like, nothing's, off the table. You can say whatever. And some people take it personal and some people don't. I think Roman Reigns did a good job in his character of just, showing some aggression. Like, what'd you just say to me? But not going the whole Tiffy Time, Charlotte Flair, unprofessional route. So that's cool to see. The road to WrestleMania is definitely heating up. And something that I'm looking the most forward to getting out there to Vegas and witnessing is if Randy Orton can get number 15. I have a sticky note down here. I wrote down Cena was going to win 17 because I was very confident. Saw the writing on the wall. And I feel the same way about Randy Orton and the writing on the wall here. SmackDown just happened. Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Cody ultimately comes away with the win. A lot of mixed reviews. I'm not really going to discuss that. I don't really care who wins that match. But I think it's also brewing because Jake Fatu got involved. And I think we're going to have a fatal four-way at WrestleMania for the WWE Undisputed Championship. I'm calling it now. Going to have Jake Fatu. Going to have Cody Rhodes. Drew McIntyre. In the Final Four, and the winner will be Randy Orton. I think Randy Orton is going to get 15. It's shaking up to be the way it's supposed to. Now, it could go just Cody versus Randy. I feel like they have been brewing that storyline for a long time. The friendship, their history, but now they're 1v1. Randy is finally back into the big card picture. He had the back injury. He was tag teaming, helping put some of the young talent over. But now it's his time. I grew up on the Viper, the legend killer, the one who was punting everybody in the head. And that's what we need back in Vegas in April at WrestleMania to get him number 15. I'm very excited. I know my boys Levi and Clifford got our group chat running. We're so excited for what's ahead for Mania. I feel like WWE is definitely, shifting the tide. We didn't really know what was going to happen here in Vegas. Last year, the women honestly really took the cake at WrestleMania. So the guys have to step up in a major way. And I think we're going to get some good stuff. But will Randy Orton win number 15? You guys let me know in the comments. I think he's going to win it. It's going to be so exciting because he's been somebody who has been putting on year after year after year. Youngest ever world heavyweight champion in the business. Third generation talent. Surefire future Hall of Famer. Randy Orton, keep doing your thing. I'm excited to see the outcome at Mania. And I mentioned that the women were the ones turning up at WrestleMania last year, and they have a good story going on. Rhea Ripley wins Elimination Chamber, and she has chosen Jade Cargill as her opponent. They had a face-off in the ring. Got a little spicy before they got to the ring. On Twitter, shots were fired. Jade Cargill went against the code, started saying that Rhea was complaining to the writers, to creative team, to get more of a push. Now, there is some unspoken rules in the business, and there's lines you don't cross, and that's one of them. You don't take personal shots at somebody's character in real life and trying to weave it into their character in the business. That sparked a lot of feud from also other wrestlers online, and then we bring it to the ring, a face-off in front of a crowd, in front of the world. And essentially, Rhea Ripley goes to express to Jade Cargill, who is one of one, that her body is just for the aesthetics. She works out just for the appeal factor, the social media aspect. And Rhea Ripley says she works out fight. She works out to be able to withstand the grind, withstand the pain, and ultimately be champion in the end. This has now become an exciting feud to me. I think so far for Jade Cargill's title reign, to me, it's been boring because there's not really any big players. Naomi's out. She's having a child. Bianca Belair has been out with injury. I think Nugent was supposed to be Jade Cargill's big opponent, but she got hurt. So it's pretty much been boring. Ever since she took the title, Tiffy Time ain't really did nothing. So this is something I'm really intrigued in. Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill. The women have been able to, honestly, hold their own and surpass the men in a lot of ways in WWE. And so I think this feud, this matchup is going to live up to the hype. Just got to keep building it, keep brewing. And I'm excited to see what they do. But the offline stuff has become into the ring. So I'm really excited to see how, number one, how professional they can be, a la Tiffy, Charlotte, more professional. And then how can they build up the story and ultimately deliver the best match that they can at WrestleMania and give the fans what they want to see. Well, WWE, it's been great, but we're going to move on to the basketball world. College basketball, we are a week out from Selection Sunday. We've had so many conference championships happen today. We're filming this on a Sunday. Women's basketball specifically, to stay with the women. Texas blows out South Carolina. I didn't see that one coming. They beat them twice on the season thus far. They beat them 78-61. They got out to a hot start, 14-0 run to begin the game. When we have a start like that in a major championship, it's really hard to get back into it. Dawn Staley, when she had the interview, she just kept telling Holly Rowe that her message to the team is going to be one play at a time, one drive at a time to get back into it. And then Vic Schaefer, he was pretty cool, calm, and collected. Then our team's playing great. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, Madison Booker, Rory Harmon leading the way for that squad. Jordan Lee hitting some big shots for that Texas ball club. And they ran out with it early, and they didn't look back. Huge dub for the Longhorns. As we go into the March Madness tournament, they're going to host a game in Fort Worth, so that's essentially going to be a home game for Texas. And I believe South Carolina is going to go to Sacramento, somewhere far away. But I know Texas is going to be in Fort Worth. So huge dub for the Longhorns. West Virginia beats TCU 62-53 in the Big 12 championship. TCU, number 1 seed. West Virginia, number 2 seed. West Virginia is going to be hosting. And that's going to be huge for the Mountaineers. Were able to perform to a high level. Shout out to Sydney Shaw, my former fellow Auburn student athlete. She transferred, and she's just had such a great career, not only when she was at Auburn, but really resurged her career when she went on to West Virginia. Her team has had great success. You can tell the belief they've been balling all season. Big champions. Shout out to them in the Big 12. Duke takes the ACC championship, beating Louisville 70-65. Coach Carol Lawson, I've been a big fan of hers for a while. When we first started the show, we sat down with Jay Billis, and I was asking him about the women's basketball resurgence, women's sports in general. And Carol Lawson was one of the coaches who he highlighted. And I've gotten a chance to see her team in person twice. One time she lost on the road against UNC. Then she beat UNC in the March Madness tournament when it came to Birmingham a year ago. And just the aspect of how her players respond to her coaching, how she pushes them, how she loves on them. You really love to see that, especially in this day and age of college athletics with so many moving parts, to see somebody establish a culture, continue to hone that culture when some people count them out. Early in the season, West Virginia played against Duke. And so seeing so many good basketball clubs and programs in their own different way have success is a beautiful thing to see. And for Louisville, they competed hard, but ultimately the Duke Blue Devils came out with the win in this one. And that was a close game, 5-point game. But his next game was not close at all. UCLA murks Iowa 96-45. Iowa's had great success in the past with the Caitlin Clark era. But those days are over. UCLA has continued to put on a show. I hope that they can, find their way in March Madness and continue to make a run like they did a season ago. And I know they're going to be wanting to get over that hump, but that is a statement win, especially in your conference championship as you approach March Madness, to give your team all the momentum in the world. And it's not on the list because I put a video out about this already, but I want to give a special shout out to my dogs, the Sanford Bulldogs, taking down Chattanooga, who was the number 1 seed. Sanford goes on to win March Madness. Huge dub for the program, the university. Exciting times. I covered 3 of their games this season. They lost the first. They won the next 2. Their leading scorer, who's a freshman, Kayla Yarbrough, was out. One of their senior guards, in Jade tears her ACL. So many different factors happening, but they continue to win. A lot of that is due to Francie Morris. Francie, if you watch this, you got to get social media, bro. We got to be able to tag you. But she's also another freshman who's been balling. Started out on the bench at the beginning of the season, stepped into a role. I believe she was averaging around 5 or 7 points a game. And in the first game that I covered when she was in, she goes for 24. So if that doesn't speak volumes in itself, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. The preparation meets opportunity, and she was able to succeed. Coach Matt Wise, his first year for the Bulldogs, already getting a conference championship, going dancing. I mean, that really speaks for itself, especially for the Sanford community, the Sanford family. That is a legacy win that puts your team, you, already in the Hall of Fame. That's something that for the Sanford Bulldogs women basketball program hasn't been done since 2020. And when they won the SoCon championship then, their March Madness hopes and dreams got washed away due to COVID. So every member on that team did not get a chance to experience it. And it's so great now because this story, when they win 2026 Southern Conference Championship, Charity Brown, she's an assistant coach on the Sanford University team. She was a player on that 2020 team, a star player at that. She didn't get to experience it as a player, but now come full circle. She gets to experience as a coach. I'm so excited for her personally, excited for the team as a whole. They've continued to ball out. They stepped up to the challenge. It was a 6 seed coming into this conference tournament. Took everybody head on. Came out with the dubs. Now the dogs going dancing. And across the board, not everybody can be a champion. But there are going to be a lot of teams that are going on to March Madness to dance, to fight for a national championship. And one of the teams who fell short of a conference championship, but has had success all season, has had success in the past and winning a national championship, and that's LSU. LSU Tigers are always exciting to watch, led by Kim Mulkey, who is a coach who's going to demand a lot from you, who's going to push her players, challenge them, try to put them in the best positions to win. And that's a step off the court. But on the court, this LSU team is led by who, in my opinion, is the epitome of what a student athlete should be. That's Flau'jae Johnson. If any university out there has these intro meetings with incoming student athletes, they should show a PowerPoint presentation on Flau'jae Johnson. She is a blueprint of what a student athlete should be. You think about her coming in to college, wins the national championship early. So she's already achieved the pinnacle that every athlete in college should aspire to do. Not only that, she is more than an athlete. She is a huge rapper. She has done songs with Lil Wayne, NLE Choppa, who knows who else. And she's not just doing it, she's doing it at the highest level. I just watched a commercial of hers. Her song was in a commercial. She's done numerous brand deals. I know Powerade, Puma, so many other brands where she's able to not only make a little money, but make generational wealth. I know she's provided homes and housing to people who can't afford that. She's given so much back to the community, and a plethora of other things. But when you talk about a student athlete and what they should be and what it should encompass, Flau'jae Johnson should be at the top of that list. She has continued to keep her nose clean. She's been good in the public eye. I've seen stories about how she's gone out her way to go in her car and give somebody who didn't have any clothes or shoes out of her bag. And those are things that weren't highlighted. She didn't take a picture or selfie and try to display that. Somebody wrote that up and put it out there. So for Flau'jae Johnson, no matter what LSU does in the rest of this season, there's no doubt about it. She's been able to represent what a student athlete should be to a T. And I think you should give a round of applause for that. When I met her, she was super nice. Her rapping skills were on fire. She's just a cool, down-to-earth person, a baller on the court, but represents what a student athlete should be. And honestly, what every student athlete should aspire to do. Maximize every skill set. Don't let people try to limit you, and go for it all. But shout out to Flau'jae Johnson. That's just something that I've been stuck in my thoughts about. She's been representing. And when we talk about representation, something I've also been stuck in my thoughts about is the representation for the Black father, the Black male role model, the Black figure. And I think over the course of time, there's been this stigma regarding Black fathers. They may not be present. They may not always be there to support their kids, support the people around them. And that's a stigma that I love to see dismissed as of late. And it should be dismissed because you have so many male Black figures in the community who are taking care of their children, taking care of other people's children, continue to pour into the lives of these young men. And I saw this on my phone yesterday, I believe. Marcus Spears, former NFL player, LSU alum, ESPN legend at this point, so many Emmys. Him and his son, Marcus Spears Jr., he's the number 1 rated basketball player in the country right now, pushing them into workouts, doing workouts before they have to go play in the OTE league, getting the most out of them, maximizing. And I think that was just such a beautiful picture to see. A father, a Black father at that, who has achieved the highest at the levels that he competed at, pour into his son, getting real work in. And it was not just for show. Like, they were putting in real work. and pushing his son to his full potential, supporting him, being there for him. And not only his son, but for his daughter, who is a stud volleyball player at Texas. I think just the support system for the Black fathers goes a long way and should be highlighted even more. My guy, RC, Ryan Clark, his son, he talked about how he pushed his son, asking his son, is this what you want to do? And then if this is what you want to do, we're going to go harder. You know, many days, probably many tears, frustration, the love, the joy, but ultimately pushing him to where he wanted to be. And now his son's in the NFL, you know, overcoming those obstacles of maybe being undersized or counted out, you know, transferring schools, going from Arizona State to Notre Dame, trying to find the best situation for you, not getting drafted. Okay, where are we going to go? Get a landing spot. Landing spot means opportunity, continue to push, and to continue to support. You see Deion Sanders, who I think is probably the blueprint when it comes to supportive Black fathers. He's supporting every one of his kids in different ways, in different lanes. All of his kids are doing different things, but he shows up. He says, I'm not a dad, I'm a father. And I think that's huge, especially for that stigma of the Black fathers of being not present and things of that nature. But those are three people who I want to give major shout outs to. And thinking about it as we continue to move forward, if you're somebody out there who, you know, you may not be on your A game right now as a father, but you want to start and figure out a way, look at those people. Or you're somebody who, at some point, you're going to be a father. How are you going to coach your kids? How are you going to challenge them and push them the best that they can be? And it doesn't have to be sports. It can be in whatever lane. I think the showing up factor and being present is huge. What should the NCAA do in regards to its athletes, its systems, its legislations, its policies, its rules, a whole plethora of things? And Donald Trump held a meeting to figure out the state of the NCAA. And there were politicians there. The NCAA president, Charlie Baker, was there. ADs and former coaches, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, were all in attendance. But the thing that stuck out to me and really is mind-boggling, there were no current student athletes there at the roundtable talk. We're having a discussion in regards to what's going to be happening and what's going to be affecting these student athletes. But nobody thought to bring in student athletes. Like, I thought that was honestly crazy because all the rules and all the changes that might happen from these executive orders are going to affect the athletes the most. And you don't even bring them in the building to get their opinion. I was trying to figure out a great comparison. I just thought that was like if a restaurant put out a customer survey of the top meals, the top dishes that they should serve. And instead of getting customers who have been to the restaurant, they go ask the cooks. The cooks aren't eating the food. The cooks are making the food. You need to ask the people who are actually eating the food and actually have a true say, going to give you a true rating, a true response. Not having the student athletes in the building, I think, is completely missing the point. You need to be able to speak to the ones who are doing the work, the ones who are putting in the work. Coaches, I think, should definitely be in there. But a room full of politicians for college athletics, it's not going to get it because you keep having these politicians come in thinking they know about the game. You're going to have to keep handling these lawsuits, people suing you left and right, people getting infinite years of eligibility, a whole bunch of stuff. You need to poll definitely the current athletes, former athletes, but you need the athletes in the building. College athletics itself definitely needs some changes, but it only needs a few tweaks. If I was to give my thoughts, and I'm on my show, so I am going to give my thoughts of what should happen in college athletics, it should be this. There's no problem with the athlete getting paid at all because there are millions of dollars, even billions of dollars that are being brought into the fold. And I think you should not limit how much money a player makes, but you should limit how many times a player can transfer and move around. It shouldn't be about, I'm just going to leave this school because this person threw a dollar amount at me, this person threw a dollar amount at me. Because you look at it, a lot of these athletes aren't graduating, not getting their degree, and then when it's all said and done, they don't have a place to go back to. I sat down with Roman Harper on the show, and he said there's something to be said for having a home and a place to go back to. You don't have an alumni base, you don't have any connections. What are you going to do when that money runs out? What are you going to do when you're 25 years down the line? Where are you going to call home? I think there needs to be a one free transfer. And I think after that, you have to sit out. Change it back. I'm not going to be hypocritical. I transferred after I got my degree. Let me say that. But I transferred one time. So you need to have a one-time transfer rule, free of charge. Then if you transfer after that, you have to sit out. Then I also think the athlete should have to give the money back to a university if they dip on them, because why would you still get paid if you aren't performing or producing for the team? That's all I think. I think we need to be honest with ourselves about this whole NIL pay for play thing. NIL is, if you see a Stuck jersey, I'm balling at Auburn. I'm the quarterback, and I got all my jerseys in the bookstore. They got Stuckey on the back. Number one, people are buying them. I should make money off of that, yes. But if Texas A&M's like, dang, Stuck, you balling at Auburn, we want you to come to our school, we'll give you $2.5 million. That's not NIL. That's pro. You're really good, we're going to pay you more. That's how it goes. I think NIL is, when I mentioned Flau'jae, you see her on the billboard, name, image, and likeness, get Gordon, that's NIL. Do stuff for the company. But I'm just going to give you some money, and you come to my school, that's not NIL, that's pay for play. I think we need to be real about it. I think you need to have the athletes and the people who are truly affected by all of this in the building, giving their opinions to make the change and come up with what's best for the entire landscape of the NCAA. Get the athletes in the building. And if you know your boy, I was a track and field athlete, so I have to cover my favorite sport. Track and field, I want to give a special shout out to Alia Armstrong, LSU great, hurdle sensation, Olympian, yet she's unsponsored. And there's so many unsponsored athletes out there, and it really makes you scratch your head sometimes, because you have a lot of athletes out there who are competing professionally, post-collegiate, who have way better times than a lot of these people who are sponsored. And no shade at them, but track and field is one of the few sports where the numbers don't lie. There's no subjectivity in it. And I think if you want the best athletes to represent your brand, just look at the numbers. And I think for Alia Armstrong, she literally put out a video on TikTok maybe a month ago and was talking about her all-time marks, and she was still unsponsored, having to get herself to different competitions under her own money, traveling, food, recovery, all the expenses not taken over by a brand. And she goes on to win USA's indoors, takes the national title, goes 782, and she's still unsponsored. But I think this should be one of the last races that she goes unsponsored. She's continued to show up despite the odds that have been stacked against her. She had a great collegiate career, as I mentioned. She's battled through some things. She stuck firm in her faith, and ultimately, the cream rises to the top. She came out on top, and I am so proud of her, number one. I love a little underdog story, and it's crazy that somebody who has some of the best all-time marks should even be considered an underdog. But shout out to Alia. She's been part of hurdle greatness for a long time. The hurdles in itself have been on a different level, but wanted to give a special shout out to her. You keep doing your thing. And for you brands out there, you need to wake up and sign her, period. Like I said, she's a part of that hurdle greatness. We got two hurdlers right now who are not seeing eye to eye. Started out with Olympic champ Masai Russell putting out a video that essentially said, if I'm competing against you, we're probably not cool. I saw nothing wrong with that statement. A few days later, Nugent, fire Jamaican hurdler, pops up on a podcast and starts addressing the situation. So while no names were said, we know what the situation is now. And if you know me, you know I'm not about the drama. I'm not about the beef. But I'm going to say this right here. I told you, Numbers don't lie in track and field. Head to head doesn't lie in track and field. Competition is competition. For my personal experience, when I was competing in the high jump, there was people I was cool with, there's people I wasn't cool with. But when it came to the aspect of competition on that day and in that space, we aren't friends. It's just the way it is. We're all competing for something. I'm trying to be the best I can be. I'm trying to be better than you. It's period. And I think that's the difference between great, good, average, bad. And for Masai Russell, I really didn't see a problem with this. She's just saying it how it is. Now, I don't know what prompted that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But just from the aspect of being a competitor and somebody who's achieved greatness at the Olympic level, she got it done on that day, despite what anybody says. That's just the way it is. Like, you live for competition. If you want to be friends, you can do that off the track. Like, in this space, there's only one winner. And I think you can ask her Olympic gold medal that's sitting up in her house somewhere. I think that they both are great athletes. Ackera Nugent is obviously, I'm not going to say better, but she has had more successes in the head-to-head matchups. But at the end of the day, they're both great. They're both successful. Masai in college, she didn't have a chance, or she had a chance, but she didn't get those national titles, but she stayed the course. She also came out unsponsored, which doesn't make any sense. She gets sponsored and she wins an Olympic medal. Ackera Nugent showed up a lot of times, wins national titles, gets it done. Now we're on a pro circuit, continue to perform at the highest she can. Despite what personal vendettas the two may have, at the end of the day, competition is competition. You take it personal or you don't. There's people that you're cool with. There's people that you're not. At the end of the day, for you, fans out there, you got to realize this isn't just a game. This is their job. This is what they're doing for their livelihood. So the same way that you're working hard, same way that you're trying to provide for yourself, your family, or whatever the case may be, that's what they're doing in the form of running and running over hurdles. And they're both doing it great. I hope they both continue to do it great. But at the end of the day, competition is competition. You like it or you don't, period. And for our final segment of this episode of Stuck in My Thoughts, I said competition is competition, and we love the ultimate competitors. And I'm not going to lie, I was very, very nervous for how this guy was going to be able to produce in the short amount of time since his injury. Jayson Tatum comes back from an Achilles tear very, very soon, under a year. And he comes back with a vengeance, balling out the gate. And Mr. Tatum, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't doubt you, but I was very, very worried. But you have eliminated all my worries. When you are an athlete who has gone through a significant injury, I ruptured my patella, you have a different feel for injuries and how athletes go through them. And so, not that you have little faith, but it's the fact that you want to make sure that they're 100% all the way recovered before they step foot back out there. Now, an Achilles is also a very tough, grueling injury. And for Jayson Tatum, especially in the basketball space, you see so many athletes that have gone down with it. Tyrese Halliburton, KD, Dame Lillard, Jayson Tatum himself. So many athletes, especially in the NBA, have gone down with it. And so you're like, man, you want him to be at the best it can be. And I was talking to a friend of mine in the media space, and I was like, I think he should wait a little bit and look at KD. KD as a blueprint. KD took an enormous amount of time to make sure he was recovered and the best that he could be. And now, honestly, he's probably better post Achilles tear than he was before. But Jayson Tatum took his time. Him and his camp, his trainers, his team felt he was ready to go. And he's come back so far, proving that, he really hasn't missed a step. Obviously, there are some things you have to get over, get back into the flow of the game, the conditioning, the strength factor. But as far as his Achilles goes, he looks really good. I was worried, but he's proven me wrong. Jayson Tatum is back out there, and the Celtics themselves look good. I know the Pistons are front runners right now in the East, but the Celtics have the experience. They got their pieces back. They're looking strong, and they can make a run when it comes to coming out of the East and ultimately ending up in the NBA Finals this year. And so for Jayson Tatum, I think for anybody out there who's experiencing or has experienced an injury of that nature, keep going. Focus on your PT daily. Those dark days, those dark times don't last always. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So great to see him back on the floor, doing what he loves to do. Like I said, this is his livelihood. This is something he's done his entire life. And I'm excited to see what he continues to do in his career. And for all the other guys who have experienced those injuries, ready to see them back. Dame Lillard won the 3-point contest. So I'm excited to see him back on the court. Full go soon. So keep doing your thing, Jayson Tatum. Keep proving us worried people that we ain't got nothing to worry about. Shut us up. And for everybody else out there, this is a good reminder that no matter whatever hurdles you face, no matter whatever mountains come your way, you can get over them. Climb, run, hike, jog, skip, don't matter. You'll get over the mountain. And then at the end of the day, come out on top where you want to be. You just keep on working. And for everybody that's tuned in to me yapping and being stuck in my thoughts for this episode, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you want to hear discussed in the next episode. I'm going to be on my game. We're going to do this weekly. We're going to film weekly solo Stuck in My Thoughts episodes. And we're going to keep sitting down with our amazing guests. You guys stay tuned for what's more out there. Catch y'all later.
Whoa. Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah.